The concept of a front line, that age-old demarcation where two armies meet and clash, became an utterly obsolete notion at 5:22 Moscow time on September 14, 2025, when the war that Russia had brought to Ukraine's cities and homes was suddenly, shockingly, and with breathtaking audacity, delivered back to the very core of the Russian state not by a long-range missile or a covert sabotage team, but by a coordinated, multi-domain aerial assault of such complexity and scale that it represented a quantum leap in modern warfare, a masterpiece of tactical innovation born from desperation and honed by years of brutal conflict, which saw a fleet of Ukrainian drones, both existing models and new, previously unseen variants, working in perfect, terrifying synergy with a sortie of every available jet in the Ukrainian Air Force's battered but defiant arsenal, a mix of Su-24 fencers, Su-27 flankers, and even the ancient but updated MiG-29 Fulcrums, to execute a single, unified strike plan that bypassed the most fortified borders in the world, confused the most layered air defense network on the planet, and struck targets so deep inside Russian territory that their defenders had considered them absolutely untouchable, proving that the ingenuity of a nation fighting for its survival could, in one blinding moment, eclipse the raw, cumbersome mass of a traditional superpower. The planning for this operation, known only to a handful of top officials under the codename Operation Vengeful Spirit, had been underway for months, its genesis in the relentless bombardment of Ukrainian energy infrastructure the previous winter, a campaign of terror that had frozen and darkened cities and killed thousands, creating a burning need for a response that was not merely symbolic but strategically meaningful, a blow that would disrupt Russia's own ability to wage war from a distance and shatter the ingrained sense of impunity that had festered in the Kremlin for years. The key to its success lay not in a single wonder weapon, but in a brutally effective combination of old and new technology. The drone armada, numbering in the hundreds, was a mixed fleet of cheap, commercially sourced decoys fitted with reflective tape to appear larger on radar, longer-range Ukrainian-made UJ-22 reconnaissance drones packed with explosives, and a new, secret weapon, the Kholodny Vikhar, or Cold Whirlwind, a stealthy, jet-powered kamikaze drone with a range of over 1,000 kilometers and a warhead designed specifically to shred the delicate external components of radar stations and air defense systems. This swarm was launched not from western Ukraine, but from inside Russian territory itself, from forests in the Bryansk and Kursk regions where Ukrainian partisans had, in a series of daring covert operations over preceding weeks, established hidden launch rails and pre-positioned the drones, allowing them to fly towards their targets from inside Russia's defensive perimeter, appearing as if from nowhere on Russian air defense scopes and creating instant, paralyzing confusion as to the direction of the main attack. As Russian air defense operators frantically tried to comprehend the threat looming on their screens from within their own country, the main event began. The entire usable combat jet force of the Ukrainian Air Force, a fleet thought by Russian intelligence to be decimated and pinned down to defensive duties, took to the air from dispersed, makeshift roadside bases and hidden forest strips. But instead of turning towards the Eastern Front, they flew west, towards Moldova, where, in a carefully negotiated and clandestinely prepared operation, they dipped into Moldovan airspace for a matter of minutes, a move designed to create a false electronic signature and suggest a mass defection or a bizarre training exercise, before turning north in a wide, sweeping arc that took them over the Black Sea, flying so low that their wingtips skimmed the waves to avoid Russian naval radar. Their paths guided by a real-time data feed from a NATO AWACS aircraft flying just outside Romanian airspace, a silent partner in the dance. The drones struck first, their targets meticulously chosen to pry open a corridor for the jets. Clusters of cold whirlwinds slammed into the radar arrays and command vehicles of S-400 and Panzer S-1 batteries in the Belgorod and Voronezh regions, not destroying them completely but blinding them and forcing them to go offline for critical minutes to reboot systems. simultaneously. The cheaper decoy drones descended upon the military airfields at Voronezh and Kursk, forcing Russian air traffic controllers to scramble their own fighter jets to intercept what they believed was the main threat, a fleet of slow-moving, easy targets that were in fact the bait in a deadly trap, drawing the Russian Air Force's attention and combat air patrols south and east, and away from the northbound Ukrainian jets over the water. It was at this precise moment of maximum confusion that the Ukrainian jets, having flown hundreds of kilometers over the sea, turned east and crossed the coastline near the occupied city of Taganrog, now screaming over Russian soil at treetop level, their afterburners lit as they raced against the clock towards their targets, the Engels II air base near Saratov, home to Russia's strategic bomber fleet of two 95 Bears and two 160 Blackjacks, the very aircraft that had launched countless cruise missile attacks on Ukrainian cities, and the Morozovsk air base, a key hub for Su-34 fullback fighter bombers that had been raining glide bombs on the front lines. The final approach was a nightmarish gauntlet. Russian air defenses, though partially blinded, were still immensely powerful, and the sky filled with surface-to-air missiles and the tracers of anti-aircraft artillery, claiming several Ukrainian jets in fiery balls of wreckage that littered the Russian countryside, their pilots lost in the ultimate sacrifice. But for those that broke through, the payoff was cataclysmic. The Su-24 Fencers, modified to carry a full load of British-supplied Storm Shadow and French Scalpig cruise missiles, popped up to their launch altitude and released their payloads, the missiles streaking away towards Engels II, while the Su-27s and MiG-29s, armed with American-provided JDMR-guided bombs and HARMs, dove directly on the Morozovsk base, dropping their munitions with pinpoint accuracy on hardened aircraft shelters, fuel depots, and rows of parked aircraft. The resulting explosions were heard for miles, a continuous, rolling thunder that signified the destruction of dozens of strategic bombers and fighter jets, millions of dollars worth of equipment, and most importantly, a significant portion of Russia's long-range strike capability, a strategic victory of incalculable value. The return journey was a desperate flight for survival, the remaining Ukrainian jets fleeing north towards friendly airspace, low on fuel and chased by enraged Russian fighters, their escape covered by a final, sacrificial wave of drones launched from within Ukraine to harass the pursuers. The operation was a stunning, unprecedented success, a tactical masterpiece that demonstrated a revolutionary form of hybrid aerial warfare and proved that Ukraine could not only defend but could also project power and strike decisively at the heart of Russian military strength, a victory that would galvanize its people, shock the world, and force a fundamental reassessment of the balance of power in the conflict. All achieved with a courage and ingenuity that would be remembered for generations.